Hollywood scandal, the fall of an empire. Sean Diddy Combs, one of the biggest names in hip-hop, is now at the center of one of the greatest scandals in entertainment history. Trafficking, conspiracy, abuse, and corruption. Accusations are devastating, and new witnesses are emerging every day. And the most shocking, his own adopted son, Quincy Brown, is collaborating with the federal to expose Diddy's obscure secrets. Celebrities may be involved. Secret parties, suspicious transactions, and a network of influence that can hit the most powerful names of music and cinema. What is behind these accusations? Is Diddy guilty or victim of a larger conspiracy? And what does this mean to the future of hip-hop? Get ready to find out all the shocking details of this bombastic case. Watch until the end and draw your own conclusions. More than a month after Sean's arrest, Diddy Combs, his children decided to speak publicly for the first time. In a joint statement published on social networks, they demonstrated support for the father and condemned the public trial that formed around the accusations against him. The statement was posted on Instagram by Quincy Brown, Diddy's foster son. Quincy is the firstborn of the late Kim Porter and singer Al B. Sure, but was created by Diddy since childhood, establishing a close relationship with the music tycoon. The publication quickly went viral, attracting both support and criticism from the public. In the text, Diddy's children have stated that many have made hasty judgments based only on the accusations and that the truth will still be revealed. The post reinforced the unity of the family even in front of the scandal, noting that, regardless of the circumstances, they remain united. This public demonstration was not the first time that Diddy's children have shown support for the father since his arrest. Previously, they had already been seen together, reinforcing the image of a resilient family in the face of the accusations. However, the fact that Quincy was the spokesman for this message generated speculation, especially considering the information that he would be cooperating with federal investigations. The decision of the children of positioning themselves on social networks raised different interpretations. While some fans and followers understood the publication as a natural gesture of support for a father who is experiencing a difficult time, others questioned whether the statement was motivated by internal pressure or strategy of the Diddy defense team. In addition, the absence of a direct position on the accusations further reinforced the public debate. At no time does the post refute the allegations, merely defending family union and belief in fact that, according to them, would come to light during the judicial process. With this statement, Diddy's children are even more active in the course of the case, becoming targets of media and public opinion. The way they will continue to deal with this situation in the coming months can impact both the image of the family and the conduct of the judicial process. Since his arrest, Sean Diddy Combs has faced serious accusations that go beyond civilians and now involve federal crimes. It is being sued for crimes such as human trafficking, criminal conspiracy, and facilitation of prostitution, as well as other accusations that have emerged throughout the investigation. The case against the music tycoon has taken significant proportions, mobilizing several United States government entities, including the Department of Internal Security, DHS, and the FBI. One of the most recent twists in the case involves the testimony of new witnesses. According to the TMZ website, at least 2 new people presented themselves and agreed to cooperate with the promoters. These witnesses are willing to testify before a great federal jury, which can further strengthen the argument of the accusation against Diddy. In addition, some of these witnesses have been formally summoned, increasing the pressure on the defendant and his defense team. Diddy currently awaits trial while facing several legal disputes. He declared himself innocent of all accusations and has been unsuccessfully trying to obtain freedom on bail. So far, his claims have been denied by judges who consider that their release would pose a risk to public safety. According to court documents released by NBC News, Diddy's last attempted to obtain bail was denied on November 27, 2024, which is the 3rd refusal since his arrest. Federal promoters argue that Diddy's liberation could compromise the investigation as he would have sufficient influence to intimidate witnesses or destroy evidence. For this reason, he is still detained at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, New York, where he will remain at least until the trial, scheduled for May 2025. Despite the defense attempts to minimize the accusations, Each week, new elements seem to emerge, reinforcing the seriousness of the case. Diddy complaints cover a period of decades and involve several victims, many of which claim to have been coerced, threatened, or even doped to participate in illegal activities. In addition, court documents indicate that he would have used his company and private parties as a facade for an exploration scheme. With the intensification of the investigation and the emergence of new witnesses, the scenario for Diddy seems increasingly challenging. His legal team continues to argue that he is unfairly being the target of a defamation campaign, but the evidence presented so far suggests that the government has a solid case against it. The case against Sean Diddy Combs gained a new level of gravity in March 2024 when the United States Internal Security Department, DHS, conducted a series of simultaneous operations on properties linked to the music tycoon. Federal agents have beaten their mansions located in Los Angeles, New York, and Miami as part of a federal investigation that had been underway for months. During these raids, the authorities seized electronic devices, documents, and other items that could contain evidence related to accusations of trafficking and exploitation. According to sources close to the investigation, the collected material would include text messages, bank records, and even compromising images that could strengthen the prosecution case. The escalation of the investigation culminated in Diddy's formal arrest in September 2024. A great federal jury indicated him, leading to his detention. Since then, the music producer has remained in federal custody, facing several failed attempts to obtain bail. The court decision to keep him in prison was based on factors such as a risk of escape and threat to public safety, as the court considered that he could use his influence to interfere with the investigation. The unfolding of this case quickly became one of the most talked about subjects in the United States in the international scenario. Diddy's mansion's images being invaded by federal agents widely circulated in the media and social networks, generating speculation about the severity of the accusations and the impact of this scandal on the music industry. In addition, the seized material may incriminate other Hollywood and entertainment industry figures, as investigations point to an alleged scheme of exploration and trafficking involving several influential people. This factor has led legal experts to consider that Diddy may only be at the center of a much larger web, which can still expose other names in the high-ranking showbiz. With the trial date scheduled for May 5, 2025, the expectation is now on what new evidence the prosecution may present and which others involved can be identified in the documents seized during the beats. Meanwhile, Diddy is still detained at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, awaiting the next steps of the court case. One of the most impactful developments in the case of Sean Diddy Combs was the revelation that Quincy Brown, adoptive son of the musician of music, was cooperating with federal investigations. This detail has brought even more complexity to the case because Quincy, over the years, has always been seen as one of Diddy's nearest children. Quincy Brown, biological son of singer Al B. Sure, and the late Kim Porter, was created by Diddy since childhood after his mother's relationship with the rapper. Despite having no direct blood ties, he has always been treated as an integral part of the Combs family. However, after the stepfather's arrest, Quincy would have decided to collaborate with the authorities, providing information that may be crucial to the process. Sources close to the investigation indicate that Quincy has delivered text messages, emails, and testimonies that can corroborate Diddy's allegations. He would also have met with federal prosecutors to discuss details about the alleged crimes committed by the stepfather over the years. What makes this cooperation even more relevant is the fact that Quincy, having grown within the intimate circle of Diddy, would have privileged knowledge about his business, private parties, and connections in the world of music and entertainment. Some legal experts believe that Quincy's testimony may be one of the most devastating to Diddy's defense, as his position within the family puts him as a highly reliable source. However, Quincy's decision generated a division in public opinion. Many have seen their attitude as an act of courage and justice, while others accuse him of cheating on his family at a difficult time. The revelation that he would be willing to expose his stepfather also raises questions about possible pre-existing tensions between Quincy and Diddy, especially after Kim Porter's death in 2018. Despite the repercussion, Quincy did not publicly comment on his decision to cooperate. His only official demonstration was the joint statement published on social networks alongside their brothers, where they demonstrated support for the family and avoided touching directly on the accusations against their adoptive father. Quincy's cooperation can be a determining factor in the case. His testimony can offer an internal view of Diddy's operations and corroborate accusations of trafficking, abuse, and coercion. With this, your participation in the investigation can directly influence the course of the trial. Now, the big question is, what exactly Quincy revealed to the authorities, and to what extent can your statements compromise Diddy? The accusations against Sean "Diddy" Combs are not limited to the main case. Over the years, several allegations of abuse, coercion, and trafficking have emerged, making the process against him even more complex. In addition to the evidence presented by the prosecution, new victims continue to manifest and add new elements to the investigation. One of the first accusations that caught the media attention occurred in November 2023, when singer Cassie Ventura, Diddy's ex-girlfriend, filed a lawsuit against him. Cassie claimed to have suffered physical, psychological, and sexual abuse during their relationship of over a decade. Although the case was quickly resolved outside the courts, his complaint made room for other victims to gain courage to report similar abuse. Among the new whistleblowers, a man identified as John Doe said he was almost the victim of a sexual robbery by Diddy. According to reports, the attacker was only prevented because a professional athlete, whose name was not disclosed, intervened and avoided the worst. This new testimony brought even more pressure on the case and increased speculation about how many other victims may still arise. Another alarming aspect of the investigation involves cases of child abuse. One of the statements presented to the federal court mentions that a 9-year-old boy was sexually abused by Diddy and others. According to the lawyers of the alleged victims, there are at least 25 cases involving minors, all now adults, who claim to have been victims of trafficking and exploitation when they were still children. This factor further aggravates Diddy's situation, as crimes against minors are treated with extreme severity in the courts. In addition, a former employee named Grace Omari, who worked as a flight attendant on a Diddy-rented yacht in December 2022, filed a lawsuit against the tycoon and his son Christian Combs. Omari stated that he was the victim of sexual abuse while working on the vessel and that the event was facilitated by Diddy himself. This process may indicate the existence of a behavioral pattern involving not only the tycoon, but also members of your family. As these accusations accumulate, legal experts claim that Diddy's situation becomes increasingly unsustainable. In addition to criminal investigations, civil proceedings against him and his children can lead to millionaire compensation and irreparable damage to his public image. Even with his team of lawyers contesting all charges and claiming judicial persecution, the growing amount of complaints makes the defense increasingly difficult. The big question now is whether other victims will still arise, and what will be the impact of these new allegations on the trial scheduled for May 2025. Amid chaos generated by accusations against Sean "Diddy" Combs, their children continue to play a central role in the unfolding narrative. In addition to the joint statement in support of the father, they also spoke out against rumors that their late mother, Kim Porter, would have left a memory book exposing the alleged Diddy crimes. Speculation about the existence of this manuscript began shortly after the music producer's arrest. Several theories circulated online, suggesting that Kim Porter would have written a book detailing Diddy's illegal abuses and activities, but that this material would never have been published due to his unexpected death in 2018. Some believe Porter would have planned to reveal secrets that could compromise Diddy's reputation, and therefore his death would have occurred under suspicious circumstances. These rumors gained strength after influencer Jaguar Wright said publicly that Kim Porter had gathered evidence against Diddy before he died. However, the sons of Kim and Diddy, Quincy, Christian, and the twins, Jesse and Delilah, were a matter of vehemently denying this story. In an Instagram post, the family stated, "The allegations that our mother wrote a book are simply false. She never did it, and anyone who claims to have a manuscript is misrepresenting the facts." This statement was an attempt to ward off conspiracy theories circulating about Kim Porter's death, but many netizens were not convinced. The fact that Diddy's sons had manifested themselves without directly mentioning the accusations against their father led some to question whether this defense was motivated by pressure from the legal team of the magnate. In addition, the timing of the post was interpreted by some as a strategy to divert attention from the most serious accusations against Diddy. With the intensification of Quincy's investigations and cooperation with prosecutors, it is speculated that the family is trying to control the narrative to minimize damage to the patriarch's public image. Although the declaration of the children was clear in denying any book written by Kim Porter, she did not address the main question. What did their mother know about the allegations against Diddy before her death? This mystery continues to feed debates on social networks, and as the judgment is approaching, it is possible that more information about the past of Diddy and his relationship with Kim Porter will come to light. Since his arrest, Sean Diddy Combs and his legal team have adopted an aggressive stance in an attempt to dismantle the accusations against him. His lawyers argue that Diddy is being unfairly persecuted and that his arrest is part of an orchestrated campaign to destroy his reputation and legacy in the music industry. One of the main arguments of the defense is that the U.S. government would be using old laws with racist origins to process it. In documents presented to the court, Diddy's lawyers claim that he is being the victim of selective processing through the 1910 Mann Law, a legislation originally created to curb trafficking in white women for prostitution purposes, but historically used to persecute successful black men. Diddy in his defense cited famous cases in which this same law was used to criminalize influential black figures, such as Jack Johnson, the first black boxing world champion, convicted of transporting a white woman through state borders. Chuck Berry, rock icon, accused of transporting a 14-year-old under the same law. Diddy's defense claims that the government is repeating this pattern by using it to fit it in human trafficking crimes and conspiracy. This line of argument, however, has been received with skepticism by the media and the public, as previous cases involve dubious accusations, while Diddy allegations include multiple testimonials, electronic evidence, and several identified victims. Meanwhile, the public reaction has been strongly polarized. Diddy supporters, including some celebrities, believe he is the victim of an orchestrated attack on his career and that the media is feeding public lynching without concrete evidence. Critics and former shapes, on the other hand, claim that there is much evidence in testimonies to ignore, and that the case against Diddy reflects a pattern already seen before in the entertainment industry, where powerful figures exploit their influence to commit crimes impunity. Many also point out that the absence of direct statements by other hip-hop artists suggests that even the former Diddy allies prefer to maintain distance from the case, possibly fearing reprisals or collateral involvement. In addition to the division between the public, the media has treated the case as one of the largest scandals of the entertainment of recent decades. Headlines like Quincy Brown exposes Diddy and hip-hop magnate faces explosive accusations dominate news portals and discussions on TV shows. Now, with the trial scheduled for May 5th, 2025, the focus of the defense will be to try to dismantle the evidence presented by the prosecution, weaken the witnesses' testimonies, and reinforce the narrative that Diddy is being the target of unfair persecution. The big question is, will this strategy be sufficient to deliver you from the accusations, or the evidence against it will be overwhelming? Sean Diddy Combs does not only affect his career and reputation, but also has the potential to expose and compromise other powerful figures of the entertainment industry. As investigations advance, experts believe that more known names can be mentioned in lawsuits or even formally involved as co-authors of crime. The history of luxurious parties and exclusive encounters promoted by Diddy has always attracted great hip-hop stars, athletes, entrepreneurs, and celebrities from Hollywood. For years, these events have been seen as a reflection of magnate's extravagant lifestyle. However, with the emergence of the accusations, these same meetings are now described by some witnesses as coverage for illicit activities. According to sources close to the case, federal investigators are examining private parties' records, guest lists, and suspicious financial transactions. Some rumors suggest that, in addition to Diddy, other artists in the entertainment industry may have participated or at least been accomplices of questionable situations. In recent interviews, Lawyers who represent alleged victims confirm that they have compromising evidence against other public figures. Asked if famous names could be revealed during the trial, they responded yes, but at the moment they could not disclose more details. This uncertainty has generated tension between celebrities and led some of them to distance themselves publicly from Diddy. Old collaborators and close friends, such as Jay-Z, DJ Khaled, and 50 Cent, have avoided commenting directly on the case, possibly not to associate with a scandal of this magnitude. On the other hand, some artists and personalities have shown support to Diddy, whether on social networks or through public statements. The question now is, to what extent will this support be maintained as new evidence arises? In addition to social and professional impact, the hip-hop industry as a whole can be affected by the case. Many experts point out that if Diddy is condemned, the music market can undergo an internal cleaning, where questionable practices that were previously ignored or tolerated will be investigated more rigorously. Diddy has always been one of the most influential entrepreneurs of music, responsible for launching careers of great artists and shaping pop culture for decades. However, with the severity of the accusations, their presence in industry can become unsustainable, and some companies are already cutting ties with it. Trade partnerships have been closed, and the Bad Boy Records brand, Diddy's musical empire, faces an uncertain future. With the unfolding of investigations, the expectation is that more names will be revealed, and that this scandal will become one of the greatest in the history of the entertainment industry. Now we have to know who else can be involved and what will be the consequences for hip-hop culture and Hollywood as a whole. With the date of Sean's Diddy trial scheduled for May 5th, 2025, the expectation grows on how the prosecution and defense will lead the case and what new revelations may arise during the process. Diddy currently remains detained at Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, and his attempts to obtain freedom under bail have been repeatedly denied. The court's decision to maintain it in custody reflects the severity of the accusations and the potential risk of interference in the case, as prosecutors argue that he could use his influence to intimidate witnesses or destroy evidence. The prosecution has gathered a robust legal arsenal to bring Diddy to trial, including testimonials from multiple witnesses, including alleged victims and former Mogul Museum colossus. Electronic evidence, such as text messages, emails, and financial records that would indicate the existence of a criminal trafficking and coercion scheme. Evidence collected during the beats of the Internal Security Department, DHS, on its properties in Los Angeles, New York, and Miami. Diddy's defense, in turn, has adopted a strategy focused on discrediting witnesses and questioning the legality of the collected evidence. His lawyers argue that he is being the target of political and media persecution, and that the government would be using laws with racist origins to unjustly frame it. However, experts believe that this line of argument may not be sufficient to deliver it from the accusations, especially due to the amount of evidence that has already surfaced. The possible scenarios for the trial. Given the complexity of the case, there are some possible scenarios for Diddy's judgment: conviction and prolonged prison sentence. If the evidence and testimonies presented by the prosecution are strong enough, Diddy can be sentenced and face a prison sentence that may exceed 20 years. The severity of the accusations of human trafficking, coercion, and abuse could result in accumulated sentences, making any possibility of parole more difficult. Judicial agreement. Before the trial, Diddy's defense may try to negotiate a court agreement in which he would admit part of the accusations in exchange for a reduced penalty. However, given the severity of the imputed crimes, the government may not accept a mild agreement, especially considering the number of victims involved. Partial or complete acquittal. If the defense can disqualify the evidence or witnesses, there is a possibility for Diddy to be partially acquitted or even innocent. However, due to the intensity of media coverage and the severity of the allegations, complete acquittal can generate strong public outrage. New accusations or involvement of other names. As judgment unfolds, new evidence may arise, even more people from the Diddy circle. Other artists, entrepreneurs, and celebrities can be cited, making the case even larger and more explosive. The result of the trial will have direct implications for the music industry, hip-hop culture, and even the way scandals of this type are treated by the media and the judiciary. Regardless of the outcome, this case has already become one of the greatest scandals in the history of entertainment, and the final sentence can mark a watershed on how powerful figures are responsible for their actions. Now we know what else can arise before the trial and what will be the impact of this case on the career and legacy of Sean Diddy Combs.